So Wanted Dead seemed to have come out of nowhere and I didn't even hear of this game, but thankfully a friend of mine brought it up to me, and what really got me interested in it was that older Dead or Alive and Ninja Gaiden devs worked on it. I really miss these types of action games. Sure, we got a new DMC and recently a new Bayonetta, but I miss when Team Ninja made a new entry in their Gaiden series. Now they seem to be solely focused on Souls-like titles, and while I really enjoy their takes on that genre, especially with last year's Stranger of Paradise, we need more action games. Wanted Dead has been destroyed in the reviews, and while it is by no means a perfect game, so far it's a pretty fun one.
On your guard!
Wanted Dead takes influences from a few different games. On the one hand, it feels like a throwback action title as you fight with your sword, and on the other hand, it's a third-person shooter with cover mechanics and even sections of this that give me Yakuza vibes. The bulk of the game is spent on the action stages as you move through a linear stage hitting checkpoints, and all of it is bookended with a boss at the end. There's even some progression and customization thrown in as well. Then there's these sections that feel right at home in Yakuza with various mini-games. Some work better than others, but they are nice surprises. Wanted Dead is weird, silly, and has some fun combat.
Best thing I
Let's go over the basics of the action. You are armed with a sword, handgun, and your main rifle, along with an optional secondary. Swordplay feels like an old school action title. You have a set of combos that you can do. More when you mix in other moves and ranged attacks with your sword. For defense, you can dash to avoid attacks and projectiles. Along with this is a block and parry system. If you block right when an enemy is about to attack, this will stagger them and leave them open for a few hits. Enemies can hit you with more critical hits, and these show up with the color red. You can dodge away from these attacks, but there is a way to stay on the offensive. Right as they are about to hit you, you quick fire your handgun, and this will cancel the critical attacks. The handgun is more of an auto-target attack, and not one that you can manually aim. Swordplay mixed with the parrying, movement options, and the handgun creates a really fun combat flow, where it is extremely rewarding to make it through these encounters without taking much damage. But this is only one side of the action. On the other side of things, Wanted operates like an over-the-shoulder third-person shooter. You'll engage in shootouts, and you can use typical actions that you would see in a stop-and-pop shooter. There is no cover button, it's context-sensitive and works just fine here. Now, most of the encounters fully mix the swordplay with the shooting, and when it's all firing, there's a lot of room for player expression through the combat, along with oddly satisfying sets of action. For example, you might be up against gunmen, and you can choose to aim for those headshots, or you can dash from cover to cover, and quickly dispatch them with your sword. You have the benefits of a shooter and then that of an action game with how you move like an agile fighter. Plus you'll be pivoting in the fights. One second I was shooting and the next I was dishing out some fancy sword combos. Fights feel really dynamic because of this, and they could go a bit differently depending on the player. This is kinda what I imagine a John Wick game might play like, but this has the cheese, charm, and style of a game made from Japan.
Is that all? Die! Is that all?
Now when it comes to the other gameplay elements, in between levels you will visit your police station, and this sort of acts like a hub area. At set points in the campaign you'll encounter mini-games, and they can be found again in the station. So far these range from rhythm type stuff to an accurate example of that awful crane game that can be found in arcades, along with some fun ones. This is where the game feels like Yakuza in that way, since there's a decent amount of mini-games, though don't expect any side missions like in that series, at least I haven't encountered them yet. Story-wise, this game is ridiculous ridiculous and entertaining. This might have some of the worst voice acting I have heard in a full-price title in a long time. Now this is not a flaw, it falls into the category of being so bad it's good. Some of the characters feel like they recorded right when they were trying to learn English. At times this really adds to the humor. Here are some gems.
Blew up.
Yeah, I know. But can somebody hack or alter the data?
Nah, it's all analog. I mean, technically speaking, it would have taken a lot of effort.
John Doe, huh? What's with the gear?
Is there some other route we can take?
Don't! Enemy troops!
I have some eggs, beans.
Next, let's discuss the flaws. My biggest one are the grenades. The game does provide you with a grenade indicator, but it's really small and easy to miss. Plus, the enemy grenades have a big blast radius and can do a lot of damage. The game is challenging enough on normal without this cheapness. Thankfully, if you're wearing headphones, you can hear when a grenade drops, but all of this should be done better. The indicator should be something the player can identify better, and the damage should not be so devastating considering regular enemies can throw them. Fire grenades do too much damage, and if you get caught in one of them, you'll probably need to go back to a checkpoint. This next point relates to switching between swordplay and shooting. For the most part, it works well, but I found many times whenever I'm slashing my sword, I feel all out of sorts when it comes to positioning myself back to shooting. Like, I expect the camera to be centered for this when I aim down sights, but that really isn't the case all the time in this game, because the camera also needs to act like an action game for the swordplay. So this part sorta needs more refinement. The camera in general would be one of your biggest foes. I've seen times where it just wants to do its own thing and doesn't really allow you to get the best angle. Wider areas fare much better, and the few narrow spots so far are not built for this. The grenade launcher is a cool weapon, but it is very easy to hit yourself, and sometimes you'll hit yourself even if the game said the explosive would go far away from you. I need to mention the crane game again. I understand and appreciate adding mini games, but this crane game stuff in real life sucks, so why would you make me play it in a game? I do anticipate that the further I go, I'll probably identify more flaws as well. Wanted Dead definitely scratches an itch for more action games, but I think with how they are, I honestly think they will never be as popular as they once were a few generations ago. I'm having fun with Wanted Dead. It presents itself well with fun combat. There are flaws for sure, and hopefully the rest of the game is fun as well. I do hope the developers take this formula and refine it for a sequel. Like I said, it is fun and potentially underrated, but it could benefit from an overall refinement. We need more action titles, or rather I want more of them, but I really want more good ones. We need other studios to pick up the mantle where the others have left off. This game is challenging even on normal, so don't expect a cakewalk through it. Think like an SNES title in some ways. Have you played Wanted Dead? What are your thoughts? And let me know in the comments below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.